of time. So here we go. Week 11, we're going to go right through it. The Thursday night game, don't forget, there's a game tomorrow. Thursday night game started last week, and it will be like that the remainder of the season. There will be a game on Thursday night. So always, always, always check and make sure if you have a guy going on Thursday, you have him plugged in your lineup in time because the games start Thursday. Also, last week, Week 10, was the official end of the bye weeks. So from here on out, no byes. You should be at full strength, and this should be when you are at your best, hopefully, or your absolute worst, which could be my case. That shambles, man. I'm telling you, 4-6. I'm 4-6 in one league. That's the worst I've ever done in my entire fantasy life. I can't explain it. In the other league, though, I'm 7-3. I'm at second place, tied for second. So, what can I say? Can't win them all. But tomorrow night's game is the New York Jets at the New England Patriots. And it's hard to really get a gauge on either one of these teams. It seems that any given week, either team can be terrific or they could be incredibly mediocre. And these two teams know each other well, and they always play each other hard. So on the Jets side of the ball, obviously if you have a Lavernius Coles, Jericho Cotchery, you run with those guys. Another guy, Thomas Jones, has been coming on strong lately. He has 8 touchdowns on the season. Granted, 3 of them were in the last game, but still 5 up to that point, considering this guy had, I think, 2 touchdowns all of last year. Just a huge improvement. And a guy, honestly, who you probably need in your lineup every week if you have him. Thomas Jones is a good option to put in, believe it or not. He's a good number 2 running back or a possible flex or even, he's a number 2. I'm not going to say number 1. Thomas Jones should not be your best running back. But go ahead and plug him in this week. Plug in the receivers. If Brett Favre is your starting quarterback, don't feel too scared. I mean, New England has a solid defense, but like I said, the Jets and the Patriots always play each other well. So there should be some touchdowns in this game. On the other side of the ball, at New England, Matt Castle's been coming on strong, but that Jets defense has been looking tough. And I don't think Castle's going to get you any sort of big numbers by any means. So if for some reason you're still at this point, if you're rolling with Matt Castle, I mean, the bye weeks are over. It's week 11. Hopefully, if Tom Brady went down for you, if you were a Brady owner, you've had time to kind of readjust and you're not putting your whole season on a guy like Matt Castle. Not that he's a bad quarterback, but he's not going to give you big fantasy numbers very much at all. Running back for New England, I like this Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. I do. He looks tough. He's a strong runner, and he's looked good. And they seem to be giving him the ball and going with him, but for me, starting a New England running back is almost like starting a Denver Broncos running back. You don't really know what's going to happen. I don't even know if they have anyone healthy besides Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. So keep an eye on that situation. He may be a good flex play, something like that. But the one guy you have to start every week, especially in point per reception leagues, which I always say you should be in, is Wes Welker. This guy's doing phenomenal. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball, what team he's on, where he's at. This guy is going to catch a lot of passes and ultimately have yards. In point per reception leagues, Wes Welker is gold. He is almost as good as you can get, to be honest with you. Every week in point per reception leagues, this guy's got at least 16 points. At least. Now, he's not going to get you much over 20, but still, you'll take that. That's the kind of consistency you look for. That's the kind of consistency that wins you fantasy football games. So Wes Welker, good play. A really, really good play. And Randy Moss, it's hard to say, throw it. Like I said, the Jets defense has been looking tough. Randy Moss, if he doesn't have a Tom Brady throwing him the ball, you just don't know what you're going to get. So obviously, if he's, if you drafted him, if you've been rolling with him, if he's one of your main guys, you have to deploy him. But that Jets defense looked incredibly tough last week. Granted, they were at home against just a pathetic St. Louis team. But all in all, in the season, the Jets defense has been pretty good. So for New England, the only real safe bet, I think, is Wes Welker with a possible Ben Jarvis Green Ellis sighting. But I'll leave that up to you. Let's move on to the Sunday games. Next on the slate, the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Football Giants. Now, with the Ravens last week, It was. We heard talks. I know I did. You probably did. Ray Rice, rookie running back Ray Rice, was possibly going to be the starter. No one knew for sure. McGahee was somewhat in the doghouse, and Coach Harbaugh threw something out there like, well, they're both going to be getting touches, but I don't know. We don't know who's going to be the starter. Well, it turned out McGahee was the starter, much to the tune of 2 touchdowns, when everyone was under the impression Ray Rice was going to be the guy. So it seems as if Baltimore is rolling with McGahee. And also wide receiver Derek Mason, questionable. I think he's going to be questionable, may not play. Went down with an injury, and he's like 39 years old, so who knows if he'll ever get up. But he's questionable. Check into that. He may be playing, he may not. Obviously, they'll release more come Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'll hear more about that. And you'll know whether or not to put him in. And Todd Heap, let's just say this. Todd Heap last week had, what do you have, 5 catches for 50-some yards, 2 touchdowns? Listen, don't get too excited. I know Flacco's looking good, but remember this is the same Todd Heap who caught like 3 passes in the first 5 weeks combined. I don't know that that's accurate, but I had him on my team, and that's how it seemed for me. So I dropped him right on his face. I didn't try to trade him. I just dropped him. The hell with him. Somebody picked him up, had a good week for them last week, but don't get too excited after that last week and think, oh, Todd Heap's back. I got him in. No, Todd Heap is not going to be that good, especially this week on the road against a tough New York Giants defense. Other than that, is there anybody else in Baltimore you'd even look at? I mean, Derek Mason, right, McGahee. Don't get too excited about Ray Rice. I'm telling you, if they're going to just give McGahee the ball, then, Ray Rice is going to be watching from the sidelines. So he was probably the hottest waiver wire pickup last week, and he probably cost a lot of people games because McGahee was a major part of that offense. But still be cautious. Anyone on Baltimore, like I said, they're on the road. They're at the Giants. Tough place to go and win. So, if it's me, I'm staying away from Baltimore. McGahee, I'd plug in McGahee if he was one of my main guys, but I wouldn't get too excited. On the other side of the ball, the New York Football Giants, another team. I mean, they're dominant, right? They win nearly every game, with the exception of that one fluke loss to Cleveland. But where's the production? Brandon Jacobs produces. I mean, usually. He also shares the time with 2 other guys in the backfield, but he seems to be a good start every week, Brandon Jacobs. But, come on, Eli Manning, how many weeks has he finished with under 200 yards passing? Too many for me. Way too many for me. Plaxico Burress, listen, this is a guy that I made a giant trade for earlier this year, and I was so excited to get a guy like Plaxico on my team, who I thought going into the season had all the potential in the world to be a top 5 receiver this year. But I don't know what's going on. It's like Eli hates him. Listen, it's been driving me nuts. It really cost me this last game. It really did. He had 1 catch, Plaxico Burress, 1 catch, 17 yards, and a touchdown. And it was in like the first minute of the game. The rest of the entire game, he did not get a look. He didn't even get a look. You have guys like Steve Smith and Amani Toomer catching 6-7 balls a game, and Plaxico gets 1 look? And this is what I don't understand. Listen, that's fine. If the guy's in the doghouse, that's one thing. But he's one of the best receivers out there. Throw him the ball. I don't understand. But I can't decide. I don't know if I'm plugging in Plaxico because every week I keep thinking, well, this is going to be the week. This is going to be the week we see one of those big Plaxico Burress games. And this really could be. All right, because Baltimore is one of the top pass Ds in the league, and also one of the top rush Ds. You have to think that it's going to be a pretty tight game, and that the Giants are going to have to throw the ball around a little bit, and in doing so, it only makes sense to throw the ball to one of the top receivers in the game, I would think. So this is it. Plug Plaxico in. I'm telling you, I'm torn. This is a personal issue for me because I have him. This affects me. I'm torn. I can't decide what to do. I wish you had a show that I could ask advice. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what to do here. But I think